He owns a death zone that no one could violate. Every creature and person come close to him in the area of 15 meters will immediately die without any reason. There is only one person has an ability to make it disappear. When she steps into the zone, the death ability disappears. She steps out, the death zone will be activated. But this person is special, she is somebody else's wife. Today I will introduce you a movie called Radius 2017. A movie makes audience curious and also confused. The film begins. A man named Liam just wakes up after a car crash. Liam stands by the side of the road waving his hand to stop the ambulance. However, the car crashes straight towards him. Luckily Liam dodged the car hit the side of the road. When he comes to see what happened, the driver was dead with white eyes. He immediately calls the cops. When the police asked for his full name, Liam discovered he had lost his memory. He finds his identity card and finds out his name. At that moment, a bird falls from the sky, hit the car. The bird was dead with white eyes. Liam just steps into a restaurant. Everyone was dead with white eyes. Liam suspects this thing happens due to a new kind of virus. So he immediately covers his nose. Based on the address in the ID card, he finds his house. He locks all the doors. But he sees his neighbor is still standing outside. Liam hastily signals that there was virus in the air, and hurriedly escaped. The neighbor thinks Liam calls him and he steps over. Just a few steps, his eyes turn white and he dead. Now Liam realizes a fact that he might be the one with problem. He catches a crawl to examine. All creatures will die with white eyes if they step near him within 15 meters. At night, a girl suddenly breaks into Liam's house. Her name is Jane and she is pretty tough, right? Liam's afraid that he will hurt her. He shouts at her, "Don't come near me." As a result, Jane stood in front of Liam without any hurt. Jane says that at the night which the car crash happened she was there with him. Jane lost her memory too. But some magical thing happens. Every time they are next to each other, the deadly ability disappears. To find memories, they decide to go back the car crash scene. Rado talks about the crime sense in restaurant. Liam is a little bit worried. So he came to the accident scene. On the ground, there was a big fire circle. It seems to not belong to human. Moreover, there isn't any cars nearby. Liam tells Jane the truth. Everybody died with white eyes because of him. But Jane is not only resistant to this ability but also deactivated it. Jane is freaking out when she hears that. So she runs away. At that moment, a policewoman appears. Jane gets far away from Liam, more than 15 meters. Policewoman's eyes turn white and she dies immediately. Two of them find a goat to examine. When Jane steps back, the goat dies immediately. This time Jane totally believes. They just need to stay together so that no one gonna die. They decide to go to the hospital to check out. But this is not something that science could explain. Right then TV broadcasts about the crime. Liam becomes the #1 suspect. Police come to the hospital, Liam and Jane hurriedly leave. During the escape, Jane sees a notice of finding missing person. She is the one in the picture. Because of that, she can't enter the elevator. It already left. If she didn't stay next to Liam, everyone will die. Liam almost cries because there are too many people die due to his unexplained ability. Jane immediately runs to the stairs. From the beginning until the end, she maintains a safe distance with him. Luckily no one lost their life. After getting out of the hospital, they sleep over in a car. Jane listens to the radio and she knows her husband is finding her. Turn out she has married. Her husband's name is Sam. Based on the address, Jane finds her husband. Jane hopes Sam will help find her memory. In the house, Jane sees another posters about the missing person. In the picture, there is a woman look exactly the same as Jane. Sam says this is Jane's twin sister. 1 year ago she suddenly disappeared. Because Jane wants to find her sister so she stick the posters everywhere. But it still remains a secret. After fighting with Sam, she sadly left. Sam notices that there is a man next to her. Sam thinks he has been left out, so he sneakily reports them to the police. Polices come in a minute, catch them and want to separate them. They explain why they cannot be separated but no one believes. As we know, the moment that two of them are 15 meters apart. Every policeman and audience immediately die with white eyes. They all fall to their knees and die. Sam only now realizes the seriousness of the problem. He lets Liam and Jane run away. He will handle the crime scene. What a wonderful husband. Liam remembers he has a small house in the suburb area. So they escape. Liam also thinks about the worst case could happen for him. If his disease couldn't be cured, he would sacrifice himself to exchange Jane's freedom. But Jane now falls in love with Liam, and she wants to stay with him forever. Seem like she never thinks about Sam. When Liam is walking around the lake, he remembers everything. Jane finds out a strange note in the house. There is detailed information about missing women. Jane's sister is one of them. Turns out Liam killed her sister and threw her body into the lake. Jane frightenedly turns another pages. In that page there is her name. Their memories become clear now. The day that car crash happened was the day Liam decided Jane will be his next victim. But Jane saw through his plan. They fighted in car which caused accident. When they crawled out, suddenly there was a lightning struck. A spherical energy ring took them, causing their body to mutate. Jane steps out of the room, holds a gun and intends to finish Liam's life. Right then 3 men appears. They push Liam then beat him. Liam take the opportunity to flee. At the moment he gets out of the safe distance. The men dies with white eyes. But during the chaotic situation, Jane was shot. Liam takes her to the hospital. He watches Jane be brought into the operating room, and Liam makes a decision. When Jane looks at his eyes, she knows what will happen and she cannot stop it. Gunfire rings in the hospital. Liam chooses to commit suicide, letting the woman he loves have freedom. The film ends with that sense.